Well, welcome back everybody. This is Dusty Circuit to bring you yet another episode of the series about my history on ACO. Man, we're on a roll here. So, in the previous episode, I just went over, well, it was mostly to kind of go over stuff that I didn't go over in the one before, which went on rather far with rambling. And it was basically, those two episodes were kind of about like basically what would all happen after AF stopped uploading at least ACO related content on his YouTube. But kind of by that point, a lot of his content stopped because he got busy. But then there was just like an overall trend of players on ACO would just stop playing. And I'm guessing part of it was that AF was really one of the only reasons people were playing on ACO. And it's just kind of a lot of things that just kind of led to kind of contributed to the decline. And then I talked about some of my other friendships that kind of were going on during the silent period of ACO, and that kept me playing on the server despite everybody else leaving and even going as far as to end their subscriptions. And then we toured a lot of the builds that I did with Colgan, as that was a big part of like his play style, and it was something me and him really had in common, and it kept me, it kept me busy and just occupied with the things to do to keep me playing ACO. And while I could have just worked on my own base, it's just I would rather do the projects with Colgan, because it's at least it kind of gives me a friend to keep me company. But then while that was all going on, I had also met Aquina, which it's basically, I first got to know him. It was actually kind of a long time ago. Like it was in my first year on Autcraft, if I remember correctly. And I talked about it in I think it's the second episode of that series. And kind of how I met him was he showed me an auto sorter that he had built. And the only reason I remember that is because he uploaded it to his YouTube channel. And of course then we didn't really talk much. I just saw his what he had built, and he showed me, and then I didn't really think that much of him. But then when I joined ACO, he was talking in the AF's live stream in the voice chat there, and that was really the first time me and him actually got to know each other finally, and and me and him also had some things in common as well. And of course, and I've said this in previous videos, but about Kolgutn. He's in Norway, and Quina, he's in Sweden, and I've like, and we've had a lot of different things in common, and of course Aquina was really into redstone, and of course in his next base when he made another storage system and even an iron farm. And of course this is his the kind of his older base when I first met him. And of course, a lot of the areas I'm not going to enter because like his storage room is mostly off limits to basically everyone except him. And of course then there's the iron farms which are no longer working. And of course down below there's villagers and some other farms he had as well. And of course, getting to know him really, like, also, like, it gave me, like, an intent to, like, drive to play on ACO. And it kind of, let's just say he's kind of an interesting person to get to know. And by the way, he also introduced me to Factorio, though that came later. And yeah. I'm not really sure what else to say, but he even had a slime farm I think it was over here and it became one of the places I would AFK to get slime from, but he didn't mind. And in fact, me and him really kind of knew each other well, and we kind of trusted one another. So, and also, and another thing is he even had an iron shop where you basically put in. How it would work is you'd put an item in here and it would dispense an iron block to you, but I don't think it's actually working anymore. And though recently he just started working on a new base, which is basically a village, but he actually built more houses using Light Manica. Like he'd take some of the other houses and he'd copy them. And but over here he's began work on his new base. And although it's not really finished, like there's nothing really to see down there, so I'm not really gonna go down there. And this is actually a 3x3 door that would it's basically flush with the wall and would close from the inside, or from like a hidden torch key on the outside. And me and him would talk on Discord a lot, but he wasn't really quite as active as Kolgutn was, and actually for a while he left to play Ark Survival and a lot of other games, and actually fairly soon I might actually be able to get into that game because I'm getting, as I said in the previous video, I'm getting my computer upgraded, and I'm kind of excited to actually see if the game would at least run playably well. And yeah. But even if that's not really, doesn't really turn out well, I at least have Factorio to play with him. And yeah. Really, the only other person I can really talk about would be Quirke, and I don't really. She didn't really actually play on ACO that long. Like, I think she was on maybe for a couple of weeks to maybe a month or so, but or I think it might have been 2 months. But from what I heard, she just kind of left to. I think it was she went to college for a little while, but then she left, but then she came back to college to start a new degree, and I'm guessing that's what she went off to go do. And of course, my heart kind of goes out to you, and I hope you're doing all well. And if although there is one other player that I'm not going to talk about, I'm not even going to mention their name because they did some rather unfortunate things that got them banned forever, and let's just leave it at that. And anyway, so then this kind of brings us into, so if I were to bring up the timeline right about now, I'd say that these next kind of series of events that occur, I call them sort of the pre-revival, because they kind of happen right before the official revival period of ACO, but it's probably in about the kind of, I'd say probably the summer, probably spring to summer of 2018. And of course, I did a lot of different things on ACO, and one of them being me building a storage system, like a small auto sorter in Jake Space, which is still on my YouTube channel. And then another thing being a sort of mini series that me and Colgutten agreed to do, but he just got busy in real life, and unfortunately I was not able to upload episodes really as often as I wanted to, because it's like half the time Colgutten would not show up. And another big factor was, well, with him being in Norway and me being in the US, we're about 6 hours, I think 7 hours apart, like in our time zones. And of course that which also complicated which basically complicated our schedules, and essentially what would be noon for me would be kind of near, like, probably after dinner to kind of early evening for him. And of course, by around 2 to 3 p.m., that's when he has to go to bed. And me being, of course, ever since I graduated from school, so let's just say my sleep schedule just kind of hit the fan, and basically sometimes it even got to like I'd even sleep past like 3 p.m. and basically I'd sleep past the time where Colgutton could get on basically get on Discord and Minecraft to kind of do whatever we needed to do. And it's probably just to say there have been days where he's just been waiting for me to come on, but I never show up because I'm asleep. So there's that. And I've been working my best at that, though admittedly I'm still not, my sleep schedule still isn't great, but let's just say it's better than it used to be. And yeah. And so basically in that whole series, what was called Hermitcraft Jr., but I've only really made it 3 episodes in, and it just kind of, I've only really made it 4 episodes into that series, and I just couldn't really continue it because Colgutton, again, kind of just got busy, or like a combination of that and my sleep schedule, I guess, admittedly, was also part of that. And yeah. Well, anyway, here we are finally after about, it's probably a good 20 minutes flying, or with the Elytra wings. But anyway, this is, well, it's just kind of the second of the kind of bases that Colgutton and I have started in the Hermitcraft Jr. series, but this is definitely like, well, the plan was for me and Colgutton to kind of do our own like mini Let's Play series, but it only got the name Hermitcraft Jr. because, of course, I was still when Colgutton was like very it's like when Colgutton used Hermitcraft for most of his inspiration for Minecraft. And I mean, like, we did a base before this one, but from what I remember, this is when ACO first got the update to 1.13, and of course, I dubbed this the pre-revival era because this was still when ACO like had barely any members on it, and of course this era I would say kind of goes to, it was kind of around the time when, kind of after the period that me and Colgutton went off to play Fortnite and Overwatch, and then we came back to ACO because I may have begged him to want us to return there because it is kind of my home, and I wanted me and Colgutton to still allow me to go back to my roots, so to speak, and it's kind of what we did. And over here is actually the community drowned farm, but it since hasn't been reopened because the portal, I think the portal got broken, but it was never like reset. And Anyway, well, this started off as just me and Colgutton's like farm, and originally it would have worked with where basically the drone would spawn, they would go into there, and that was the killing chamber, but we ended up just kind of, the farm ended up just being used where you just swim like here and then just kill the drones as they spawn. And Blue and BB and TK were actually able to get tridents from this farm. And of course, I don't want to talk about, I don't really want to talk about Atlantis yet. That's going to be the next video. And anyway, and as for Colgutton, like, he was to, like, I think it was like we actually went to this area, but then he took another break from ACO because he's still busy with other things in life. And so around this point in time, and well, I guess both ACO's history and just kind of the history of my playing time on ACO or experience, I've been noticing sort of a trend, and well, both Colgutton and Youngie, or like when I was getting to know them, and that is both of them basically kind of either had limited play hours uh, or even in the case of or even that they can't play certain games because well, and this is just kind of a thing I began to realize, is in that of course not all parents are equal, and some of them are of course they raise their children differently, and of course some are more strict than others. And of course that was really and of course in both Colgutton and Youngie it became evident that they had stricter parents than how I was raised. And well, basically, and so well, if I go over so with me, like my mom never would, well, I mean, of course, when I was younger, she also kind of had some of the I guess, control over me to keep me safe and whatnot. But later on, as I got older, especially when I got onto Autcraft, she just kind of took her hands off and just kind of realized that Autcraft was one of the only ways I was able to socialize and gain friends. And most of it was also that, well, basically, let's just say that she ran into some health issues, and that kind of prevented her from being able to just be a parent and just kind of. And so basically, for all the time I was on ACO, and yes, also a bunch of the time I was on AC, and that especially allowed me to do those larger projects, and because I was able to get so much playtime. And I mean, I even did let it get to the point where it actually did it run into my sleep, affect my sleep schedule, but nowadays I'm more controlled, but admittedly I still am struggling with that today. And yeah, but of course getting to know Colgutton, at first he more or less had unlimited hours on ACO, but kind of a bit as time kind of went on, and I noticed he was on less and less often, and of course me being curious, I talked to him and I was like, hey, what's going on? And uh, and then he tells me that his mother was beginning to set limits on his his essentially his screen time, but in the hours he couldn't be on his computer, he was allowed to be on his phone or whatever, and which that's still technically screen time, but I guess it's less addicting than computer time. I don't know exactly how that works, but it's basically, yeah. And this kind of forced me to, well, one thing, it kind of opened my eyes up to just how not normal really I was, well, at least with my sleep schedule, it and even my sister actually kind of got a bit on my case and kind of encouraged me to adopt better sleeping hours, or at least get to knowing when to set my own limits and not depend on somebody else to do that for me. And guess I am getting better at it, but admittedly I still do stay up till 1-2 o'clock in the morning, and yeah, I still have a bit of a long way to go there, but at least I'm not pulling all-nighters anymore. And yeah. And so, but kind of as time went on, Colgutton did get more uh, time to spend with me, and nowadays it kind of stands at he gets around 2 to 3 hours a day of playtime with me, and of course by now I've kind of gotten used to that. But it's just back when we first met, we were able to be on 4 hours or longer. But yeah, and I'm basically just editing this into the video because I just back when I was recording this, I kind of left this out, and I just thought I'd throw this in here because that's just something that just kind of made me it opened my mind up, and it just made me think, like, okay, maybe I should change my sleep hours, and maybe, well, for one thing, I had to because of the time zone difference, but it really made me open my brain and made me think that maybe I should work on my sleep hours, and this is going to help me later in life, as when I finally do get a job, I'm going to have regulated sleep hours, and I still admittedly have a long way to go in that, but I'm gonna be working on that. So yeah. But But of course, when kind of the revival period began, players started coming back to ACO, and I'd say I kind of gained some more friends that way. And yeah. And anyway, that series actually didn't really. I got a few hate comments on it, probably because maybe someone clicked the video and like, ooh, Hermitcraft, but that's not Hermitcraft, so I'm guessing that's what happened, but I don't know. But anyway, I would really like if me and Colgan could do some kind of Minecraft series, or there's some kind of video series together, but I do have plans coming up for some more stuff with me and Colgan, but I can't really promise if it's going to be Minecraft or not, but if it will be Minecraft, yay, but if not, then, I mean, I do have fun playing the other games with him, but it's just, Minecraft is just kind of mostly where it's at for me, and yeah. And that's really all I have for this particular video, and so I hope you guys enjoyed, even though I didn't really have as much to talk about as the previous videos, and remember to rate, comment, like, and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode and my next YouTube content coming fairly soon. Bye!